Welcome to the Mental Craftsman, where we build stronger minds and share the lessons we've learned through what we've lived.
Welcome to week number 6. Farm Girl, good morning. So, before we get started this morning, I hope everybody's having a good day, and that what we do in here, whether you come into the live or whether you watch this through a link on my profile, that at this point that you're feeling, a little bit different about yourself. My name's Ray. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. However, I share a lot of things and knowledge that has worked for me in my life. And good morning, Brian. The basic part of it is that we journal and that we self-reflect and we join in on our life. Instead of having life living us, we grip it by the horns and we purposely live our life. Good morning, Shay. I'm glad that you're in here. So where are we? This is halfway through this. And you know what? It says week blank. Let me fix that really quick. I got all of my notes up there. So we're on week 6, so let me take care of that. Oops, forgot that part. So, it's interesting that I had to do that I had to put week 6 up there because reflect, celebrate, track, and adjust. So that's an adjustment, right? So when you're reflecting, right now I'm reflecting on the syllabus today, and I had to fix it. So week 6 makes us halfway there. And if you've been here with us on the previous 5 weeks, or if you've watched them over on YouTube, you should start to have a sense of what it's like to self-reflect and what it's like to find yourself in a less dissatisfaction into life. Because sometimes our life seems dissatisfied because we deal with a lot of the same things, and those same things, they become tolerable. So we actually tolerate parts of the dissatisfaction in our life. It's something that we tolerate because we're just used to it, because it's just there. And whether we know it or not, that dissatisfaction, it eats at us. So you got to ask a question: is everything that you do and everything that you want to be, whether it's through boredom or at your job or anything, does it actually align with yourself? So what we're going to talk about are intentional goals and how to make those goals from purpose. And we've learned purpose 1 week here, what our purpose is, what it is in life, things that we feel align with us, and how to be a magnet for things that give us satisfaction. These are things that we can control, that we are at the control center of everything, especially our thoughts, what we do with our thoughts, how we live our life, who we hang out with, and how we reflect, and the plans that we're writing down, not just at work. You should have an agenda in your life, a spiritual, a financial, a personal agenda that guides you with clarity and a compass. And we've talked every single week, and I'm going to just review it so you see where we are on our journey here through our 12-week series. So week 1, we talked about waking up from autopilot, and that's recognizing some dissatisfaction in our life that we unintentionally, we just bear with it. We just deal with it. We don't do anything about it. We're just like, oh, that's just the way it is. But it causes dissatisfaction. And nobody looks forward to something that doesn't fit. If you have one pair of shoes that doesn't fit well, you're not going to wear them all day. But if they're the only shoes that you have, then you're going to tolerate that they're uncomfortable to wear them because they're the only ones you have. And sometimes our life can be like that because we feel like this is the only life I have. This is all I know. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's not okay is the way you treat yourself because of that, and the things that you tell yourself. And this series will help you identify areas of your life, especially when we start talking right here about intentional goals. Goals that are realistic, goals you can touch, feel, taste, goals that you can obtain into your life to make your life take that turn to where you slowly over time recognize things that you just were tolerating, things that are in your life, and you just thought, hey, this is my life, this is how it is. And it doesn't have to be that way. And we allow it. We're the ones that allow it. So it's not don't get confused that it's the people that are just pushing you and this and that. This is in your head that you're dealing with. So on week 1, that's what we talked about. We talked about understanding the difference between living by default or design. Default is we're just letting things happen. They just happen to us. That's just life. Life's living us, and we're living as a bag of reaction toward all these things that happen to us, all this thing. And there's people who have to take care of the elderly. There's people that have hard jobs. There's people that have 2 jobs. There's people that have this and that. And that's where you are, and you're a hard worker. But let's start applying some life so you can have tranquility and peace through your mind and your mindset and how you wake up. The other day we talked about having one grateful thing. When you're still laying in bed, what one grateful thing do you have? What do you look forward to into today before you get up? And at night, do you talk about what went right, or do you go about what went wrong? So it's our mindset. So if we wake up in the morning with good thought, what we're grateful for, looking forward to something in our day. And it could be a cup of coffee. It could just be that first 30 minutes alone. It could be walking your dog. It could be taking a walk, whatever it is. And when you go home at night, what did you get done right? When you're beating yourself up at work on things that went wrong, but what's going right? Focus on the right. Focus on this is aligned with me. We're all going to do things that we really don't want to do, but we're going to get new tools on how these things that we really don't want to do make us feel about ourselves. What do we have to do to get in alignment? And one of the things that we're going to do, besides watching this course, is we're going to self-reflect. We're going to talk today, some steps today and Friday of intentional goals from the purpose to practice. And we talked about self-awareness on week 2, the identity and self-awareness of who are you really. You can't live intentionally if you don't know yourself. And this is discovery, because you're going to meet your best friend. So you need to build honest self-awareness. When I'm bored, I tend to do this. When I have nothing to do, I binge watch TV. Look at it and create it, because you're going to find that you have the time to set intentional goals, and you're going to align yourself with meaningful purpose. And all the purpose in your life is purpose with impact. And what this is slowly going to do over time with your life, if you start practicing it daily, adding in prayer, adding in what you believe in your core, not what I say, not what this person does. And there's nothing wrong with having somebody that's a mentor, somebody that you want to be like, and you see that, you can interview them. How do you do that? And they're going to tell you. They're going to jump right in. They're going to tell you, I reflect, I work, I journal, and I try to plan a life out. Good morning, Couch. I try to plan a life out that's meaningful, with purpose, that has impact. And what kind of impact do you want? Well, obviously, you're going to want impact on your life and how you feel and how you're thinking and what your reactions are toward life. And to pull you out of some dissatisfaction that you're just tolerating right now. You're putting up with this because you're so used to it. Let's lift you out of there, and you can have a tranquil, peaceful life. We talked, as we went into week 3, we talked about the core values, and that's what matters to you. So this is all leading up to this week. We had our intentional living, who we really are, what our core values are, what we believe in, and these are unnegotiated beliefs that we have that we're not going to anyway negotiate. And we're going to get into negotiation here in a little bit, because we're not going to negotiate the time that it takes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, unnegotiable time to live your intentional goals, to be specific about them, and to be aligned with the impact that your new life and your reflective life and your self-reflection is going to have on you through journaling. So it's going to help you to score your true values. And then on week 4, we went on to Our purpose and vision. Where are you going? Where are you giving your life the direction of where you're going? Everything that you do today, every thought and everything that you do today is planning your future, believe it or not, because this is what you carry on with. Your thoughts of yesterday, your thoughts of last week, of last month. How old are they? Did some of them come into, did you unintentionally uh, create some dissatisfaction in your life that now intentionally bothers you and you don't know how to change it? And we talked about putting boundaries in there, having less of that into your life. So you want to start forming at this point of the week when we're talking about the purpose and vision of where you're going, is forming a personal sense of purpose for your life, the purpose for your life, what your responsibilities are. And the number one responsibility is yourself, to tolerate, to be resilient, and also to understand there's going to be some cockadoodle bullshit along the way. And you want to distinguish between purpose, your goals, and fantasies. And then last week, we got into week 5. Week 5 was really a good week. It's one that I liked. Creating your personal mission statement. We talked 2 days on your personal mission statement. My mission statement, which can be changed at any time and adjusted, just as we are all adjusting your life. I'm currently in the process of adjusting my life right now. Good morning, Alicia. I'm glad to see you and everybody in here. And we're glad any new people that come in here and watch us, we're glad you're here. And, taking the time to listen about self-reflecting and things, whether you do that or not, whether you journal or not, it's always a good idea to track your success and make your life measurable from this moment going forward. We've all gotten better, and we've all learned, even from birth, new ways to live all of the time. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is we're going to help write our simple intentional goals. And what are goals? What are the ways to get goals? How do you write them? How do you obtain them? What do you do? Now, there's some science behind goals. People that write them out and make these steps right here, people that write goals that are specific, they break it down into steps. And I'll talk about what that means, breaking it down into steps. Where are you going to get the time? When are you going to do this? When are you going to act that way? What adjustments do you need? And how often are we going to adjust this as we go forward, getting to the goal that we want? And you can think about it as a journey of how you go drive across the country, where you're going to stop for gas, where you're going to rest, what route you want to take. See, our life can be planned just like that, just like a trip, and because it is a journey. And so we're going to break it down into these steps, and then implementation plan. And I was just saying the science behind it, people that write that down are 97% successful at it, 97%, instead of just going on willpower. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to go to the gym every day. That's pretty intense. But consistency is always going to beat out, intensity every single time. So instead of I'm going to start going to the gym tomorrow, I'm going to make it to the gym 15 minutes a day, 3 days of the next week, or 4 days of the next 2 weeks. And then you're going to do that. You're going to track it and adjust it, and you're going to implement it, and then reflect and celebrate, even if you made it there the one time. That is what's important, is the celebration of goals, even little wins as we go, because it's going to create dopamine. It's going to rewire your mind of, man, I should be here. This is how I feel. To elevate how you feel about yourself, also realizing that everything that's happened to you up to this moment shouldn't have to affect you in any ways. Now, we all have losses, things that happen in our life, things that we wish were different. And, I hate to put it this way, but welcome to life. Everybody has that. But that's not what makes you. It should help create your mindset. It should help you realize that you have to be resilient, that there's going to be tough times. And we were talking last week, if you remember, we prepare for weather. If there's a snowstorm, and recently there's been a lot of snowstorms, there's preparation for it because we know it's coming. And we don't know when it's going to hit. Whether it might be rain, you would bring an umbrella, right? We prepare ourselves as humans for things that are going to affect us. Now, we have to prepare ourselves mentally knowing that going forward, once we leave this talk this morning, or when we walk out the door at work or walk out of our front door, there's going to be things that happen, and we want to be in control of what our reaction to things. And we want to have reason to get there faster than a bag of reaction, faster than anger, faster than frustration. And if there is something that frustrates you, write that down and find out, why does that frustrate me? What is it about this situation that frustrates me, that gets me upset? Because it's going to be something about you. You cannot blame that on other people. So we want to start with taking last week's usable mission statement that we wrote down, and that drops us right here into week 6. Halfway there, halfway to our 12-week journey. And I'm glad we're half there, and I'm glad that you're here today. So we're going to start today out with just basically talking about what's today about, and what do you mean by intentional goals? These are things that we wake up with, and they're big and small alike, and they align with us. How would you like to start your day? What is a goal to start your day? Well, first of all, we want to wake up. And sometimes before we get out of bed is to think of something that you're looking forward to that day. You always have to have hope and looking forward to something in your day. It could be, for me, I'm looking forward to measuring out an estimate that I'm doing in downtown DC today. I'm looking forward to the drive, the parking. I'm looking forward to stopping by some jobs. And that aligns with my goals. That aligns with my values, because that's how I make a living. But mostly I get to run into the people that make it happen, and how we treat the people in our lives. If you're a business owner, you concentrate on your people and not the profits. If you're concentrating on your people, everybody has clarity and goals and knows the job, the profits will come. So you want to teach, I want to help teach you to set your goals that flow from your purpose and that flow from your values. And I want to clarify what some of the short-term and long-term goals are going to be today. And I don't know your goals, but this will apply to you as you write them down today. So let's get right down to the nitty gritty. A little bit of research showed, and I think I misquoted this when I said 97, that 91% of people who create specific implementation intentions in their behavior actually follow through with their goals, compared to only 35 to 38% of those who rely on motivation alone. The key is moving from vague aspirations to concrete plans. Here it goes again. I always say it. Journaling, writing down your plan, your book of ideas. And some of those ideas you're carrying forward. And when we have the short term and long term, is we have a long term plan to retire one day, but there has to be short term goals. Make sure that we're not overpaying on things, trying to live frugal, because there'll be one day where we won't be able to earn what we do now. So that would, as an analogy to just fit in there, to wean things out of your life. Now, when you're making goals, and these goals take your time, this is uninterrupted, non-negotiable time. Being there for your life is the same as having to be there for a wedding, a funeral, or anything. It's important. You are your number one worker on this. So you want to quantify everything instead of exercising small little deals. When you're self-reflecting, you want to just really look at everything of what's important. Where can I fit in what it is I want to do? I want to write a book, for example. You would need to spend so much time uninterrupted. You'll need to be quiet. You'll need to be relaxed. And you need to go back and always reread. You notice that if you're a writer, sometimes you go back to the beginning, just the way I started this course this morning. Even though we're here on week 6, we've reflected back all the way to week 1. And now, with that being said, if you were here when I started the live this morning, we started with reflection back to week 1. the intentional. Week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. And now here's where we are. And that is a 100% real simulation of what the reflection and the celebrating, tracking and adjusting. See, these are very important. When you're tracking and adjusting and reflecting and celebrating, we celebrated that, wow, it was 6 weeks. We reflected back and we implemented a plan, even just for this series, right? Our implementation plan. It's Tuesdays and it's Fridays. We're here 1 hour on Tuesday. We're here 1 hour on Friday. And then we've broken this down into steps. We actually have a 12-week different steps, okay? And I want this to just sink in with you. And it's aligned and it's meaningful. So this talk or this little live here, or what we record, they're aligned and they're meaningful, and you can rewatch them anytime that you want to, and they're specific. That's what's important, is specific. And if your goal is to live somewhere you always wanted to live, or live by the water, or live by a lake, or maybe you're an outdoor person and you want to get somewhere to maybe have an acre and just not have as many people around you. Maybe you feel you belong right in the middle of Times Square in New York City, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that you realize that, and then you start creating intentional goals of how to get there. How am I going to, good morning, KJ, how am I going to implement this lifestyle that I want in my life? And what is a lifestyle? Is it a state of mind? Is it peace? Is it tranquility? Is it having a life that you know that you're responsible for and that you created? Man, imagine that. A life that you created, that you made come true because you made intentional goals. And to make goals and to make your life better, you have to rid yourself of judgment toward others. You have to not listen to insults. You can take the compliments, of course, but you can't let things under your skin. You can't allow to be hit, because this is going to happen to you. You're going to have moments of anger. You're going to have moments of frustration. You're going to be emotional. You're going to get mad. You're going to get tired. And all of these things have happened to all of us, even during our 6 weeks here. I've had mornings where I was late. I couldn't get things done. And I do a lot of research, not only when I wrote out all of this out, but even the day of, the day before, the week before, of how this is going to work, how I can explain to people the benefits of setting your goals, having your goals. And some folks will write out, I have goals, I have a good life, I'm all about Jesus, I'm all about that. And that's great, because I think having faith and knowing that you have that, but do you really? Setting aligned, meaningful goals are not at all like just these random solutions to fix some shit that's going on in your life. Goals, those kind of goals will be short-term goals. That's to come up with a resolution to fix something in my life. But a lot of times you're going to notice what's wrong in your life is your perspective of how you're looking at something. And that perspective comes 100% from you. You can't say, I can't stand my boss because of this. Well, remember, because of them, you're getting a paycheck, you're paying your bills, and there's something off with your perspective. Maybe you feel that you should get more or less work. Maybe you feel you need more or less help. But this is a situation that we tolerate, and it's not intentional. But then we intentionally, through the non-intentional, intolerable dissatisfaction of jobs or lives or relationships, where we don't realize that it's our unintentional intentions, right? Because we're tolerating it. This is where self-reflection comes in. What can I do to change it? What can I do to make my job feel better? What can I think about my boss or my situation or my children or my spouse or my job or my yard or my garden? How can I look at it differently? And what slow steps can I take to improve it? Because a lot of times that is all on us and it's on our perception. So when we're doing our intentional goals and our purpose to practice, we got to go back a little bit to the last 2 weeks, because one of them was week 4 of our purpose and vision of where we're going, and week 5 of creating your personal mission statement, which all comes from the heart. And I actually left week 5 right over here. So of our declaration of core values, purpose, goals, which is a compass to guide clarity, right? So if we're building something, everywhere I'm going today, there's a plan. And what I mean by that is I do construction. There's a plan. There's a set of prints there that say what we're supposed to be doing. And everybody goes off of those prints. And if anyone knows construction, they're measured wrong. How can you put a 12-foot wall right here when there's only 8 feet? How do you do this and that? So this is what's important. This is where we're tracking and adjusting. We're reflecting. Then we celebrate when we figured it out, right? We're going to celebrate this. So the nitty gritty of it is that we want aligned, meaningful goals. And that is from our purpose of life, what we feel it to be. And it has to be to scale, even when it's to scale, Alicia. That's it right there. And it's so true that it has to be to scale. But not everything that we write, even architects, everybody makes mistakes. It's humans make mistakes. We make mistakes as people. And what I talk about is not living a perfect life, but it's about living a life that's mindful and is ready to reflect on what I did right, what I did wrong, right? So when we're reflecting and celebrating, tracking, and the implementation plan, how do I implement the goals into my life? How do I save that extra $50 a month every year for 10 years? How do I, what do I need to apply? What tools do I need to apply? It comes down to writing and perspective of life, imagining where you want to be and feeling it, and then creating the steps to get there, right? If there's a vacation that you would always wanted to go on to, the further you book it out, the more time you have to pay and the more time you have to save. It's something to look forward to, right? And it's where you've always wanted to go. I know that there's people that want to go to Europe one day, Italy and stuff one day. This is planned, and this is what we're talking about when we're talking about our goals, how to create real goals, not fantasies, but goals that are going to matter, that are going to have an impact on our life and the impact on our perspective. So important that we know what we mean when we're talking about that, right? So it's really true. And should goals are objectives that come from external sources. These are goals that anyway, Brian, you are Italian, so of course you would want to go to Italy. I'll go with you. Norma will go with us too. True goals are different from should goals. Should goals, and I'm going to read some of them so we don't get confused into going into life, right? Should goals are social pressure goals. I need to do this because everybody does this. I have to have this car because all of my friends have to have this car. I got to have a Louis Vuitton purse because everyone has a Louis Vuitton purse. So these are some should goals, right? Comparison-driven goals, those are should goals. You know what I mean? And cultural family expectations. So those are these should goals. Ray, you should do this. Alicia, I think you should do this. Farm girl, I think you should do this. Norma, I think this should be your goal. So those are social pressure goals. Your goals really would have nothing to do with me. So we want to watch out to what people try to create us or to make us be. Pointing out something or giving some advice is far different than a should goal, right? So to read them out again, social pressure goals, which are pursuing what others expect of you, right? So that we don't want those to be our goals. And comparison-driven goals, chasing what looks good on social media. Those are comparison-driven goals. Or cultural family expectations, following paths your family or culture deems successful. A lot of us fall into some of that, right? The family pressure, like, oh, I'm an attorney, you should be an attorney. I'm a doctor, your doctor was a tire. I'm a policeman, grandpa was a policeman, everyone's policeman. You need to be a policeman, right? So that would fall into your family expectations. Remember, it was who we are on week 2, who we are. Who are we? And your status seeking goals, aiming for prestige, money, or recognition without personal meaning. So those aren't probably a status-seeking goal. It's just wanting prestige and money and recognition, having money in your pocket, driving a nice car, and just looking like you're successful, but how are you feeling inside? So those are the goals we're going to try to avoid, right? We're not, when we're writing up our intentional goals from purpose to practice today that are aligned and meaningful to us, not to society, not to Grandpa Bill, not to Aunt Sally, or not to this group of friends, or not to what people see when you're walking through the mall. These are personal, intentional goals of where I'm going from my core. The work that I put in, the hard work that I've put in, where I've reflected, I've written it down. And this is going to change all of the time, where I unintentionally am living a life that I intentionally tolerated, if that makes any sense to you. But now let's talk about the true goals and what true goals are. True goals, they're going to come right from you. They're going to come from your heart. They're going to come from when you think about doing this, it just brings vitality. It just brings excitement and joy. This is when I talk about when you get up in the morning before you get out of bed, what are you looking forward to? And what you need to be looking forward to are these goals, these intentions of your life to live a tolerable life that you can tolerate, that you're enjoying, that's about you. That's all about you. That doesn't mean no one else can be in your life, but think about that, about you and your perspective. You're constantly adjusting that with that wrench in your head, your lens, how you're looking at perceiving things. We all look at people, we all judge them, we all doing this and that. And the more you find yourself doing that, the less you're doing it to yourself. Identify aligned goals. And those are objectives that reflect who you truly are. That was week 1 through 5 on 6, right? So we're in the right place at the right time to talk about this. As far as our series goes, we're right in line of where we need to be. So that was identify aligned goals, objectives that reflect who you truly are. Right? Next, value-driven goals. That are pursuits that align with your deepest values. A pursuit that aligns with a different value. Writing it down step by step. And you're going to write it down specifically. Specifically a value-driven goal that you have that's specific. I have one right now that I don't mind sharing. Eating better. Less fried foods, this and that. It's something that I started over a month ago, and I'm already down about 15 pounds. And you see, so stuff slowly happens over time. And then you try, and then you have little celebrations. And you're going to teach yourself how to track, adjust, and reflect and celebrate, because over time you start feeling the difference, right? So that is one of our value-driven goals, the pursuits that align with your deepest values. And some of that would have to do with health. And when it says your deepest value, it's you that you're valuing. It's you that's going to get the benefits of your goals and when they're happening. Then intrinsically motivated goals, activities you do even without external rewards. Those are activities that you do without any rewards. Those are things that you're doing in private. Journaling, reading a good book, prayer, places and things that you're going to do that you know are good for you, but no one else has to know that you do them, right? That would be your intrinsically motivated goals. So you're going to do those anyway, whether people knew it or not. Journaling is probably a really good one. And then purpose-driven goals, objectives that give your life meaning and fulfillment. The purpose-driven goals. So now we're going from purpose to practice. And the purpose is what has the impact on your life. The purpose is what has the impact on your work life. The purpose is what's going to have the impact on your family life, on your front lawn, how your garden looks, how your dog feels, how you feel about yourself, how your food tastes, all purpose. All change through looking at things differently and changing the perspective. It's almost like, if I didn't have these assholes in my life, it would be really great. Well, really, if you didn't have the perspective, the perception that these people are assholes is really means that your life would be great. So True goals create sustainable motivation because they're connected to your core identity. That's what a true core is. It comes from you, not something that somebody thinks, not something you saw on TikTok, not I want to drive that car one day. Those are all things that could be rewards to yourself when you celebrate. You know, I've always wanted a nice classic car, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is reflecting and celebrating, tracking and adjusting, rewarding yourself. And that means it's even better because it's something that you earned for you. You didn't earn it so everybody can see you drive down the street in that car. So the aspects between the two, external pressure and external pressure and internal desires are sometimes not the best goals. You know, these internal desires that come from external pressure, right? Is it going to align with you? Is it value? Is that going to be the best course to take? You want to create something that's right off of your purpose in life when you're working on your goals. And one of the way is when we're trying to define, when we're getting right up in through this part right here, when we're going to intentional goals from purpose to practice, aligned and meaningful. So we're going to be specific. And we're being specific is because we're going to ask ourselves why. Why would this be your goal? How does this align with you, right? Repeatedly, dig deep into your motivations about it. Why is this one of your goals? What's the motivation behind it? How's that going to help you? Is it something you can reflect on? And will you give it uninterrupted time? No cancellations on our goals. No cancellation on the time that we need for ourselves. And then notice when you're asking yourself why, think and write when you're getting into it of your goal, does it energize you? Is this something, man, I can really see myself doing? It's so energizing. If it's, think of a small goal that aligns with you to give inner peace and to give some tranquility. It could, for some people, be fishing. And they think about it. Are you avoiding it? Why? That's a good one, Alicia. Why? Asking ourselves why. And if you make a goal to, if you're making a goal to go fishing, that's something that's going to excite you if you're a fisherman. If you're making a goal to travel or go to a small town to go antiquing, that excites you. Because not do you just go antiquing, you go for a ride, you go be somewhere different for the day, you can have a good lunch somewhere, right? So you notice what energizes you. And then, does it align with your values? It's another thing we'll ask ourselves. So we're asking ourselves why. Does it excite you? And does it align with your values and your core values, right? If your goal is to go skydiving, does that scare the hell out of your family? Is this too risky? Is this going to eat into your wallet? Is it something that you can afford? Is it reasonable? Right? That's something you want to, does it align with your values? And then, most importantly, when you get and ask yourself that question, then imagining it happen. Imagining that it's happening right now and the little steps that you've taken. That dream or that idea that's always been in your back of your head, write it down and start putting it into steps that are small steps so you can start to achieve it if that's what excites you and it can come to light. You can share it with somebody. And then consider if you'd pursue it without external validation. Would you still want to do this if nobody knew? So that means, do you have to tell people? Is this something that you're going to do just for yourself? Or is it something you can do without having to tell other people? So we're going to go from our purpose to practice on our goals, on our life changes. It could be where we live, how we feel about ourselves, how many movies. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to do anything. It could be anything. But the most successful, best feeling people in the world aren't the people that achieve the most goals, but they pursue goals that have authenticity to themselves. So people who are happy, that doesn't mean that they hit every goal, that every time that they're up for bat, they're hitting a home run. They're just constantly on the path that they chose. That's where success and happiness comes in. That's where living intentionally comes in. Because I'm on a path that my hopes are that aligns with me. That's a goal. So you can have a good life without winning the lottery. You can have a good life without knocking every goal. And you can have a good life because your perspective, your view of things all align with how you feel about yourself and how you feel and how comfortable you are living in your skin, right? These are all things that we want. So when you get confused about other goals that don't come to light, we're talking about social pressure goals, or I think you should do this, or being in a burnt out relationship or a dead end job. These things are exhausting when you're tolerating because you are intentionally avoiding things because they scare you or whatever. That's taken away and it's wasted effort. It ends up as disappointment, burnout, exhaustion, and it's also self-sabotaging behavior because that's an energy leaker. When you have to deal with something that's self-sabotaging you on a daily basis, a beating that you give yourself mentally every day, this isn't good. It's wasting your effort and your disappointment, and some of this is mental. These are the things that we're doing to ourselves. These are the things that are making barriers in our life. And I want you to be aware of that because your best motivation has to come from inside. And for you to validate yourself, you don't need external validation. You approve. Your stamp of approval is from you. Stamp approved. That's what you want to do. And sometimes you need to understand what underlying motives that we have. And this is all through self-reflection, right? So let's go right back to where we are. A couple of different things, remember? So from last week, we did our mission statement, which is a declaration of these things that we want in our lives. We want to appreciate our core values, our purpose. Remember, when you say purpose, always kind of have, purpose is really important because purpose is always going to have an impact. And then goals, always having goals that you want to achieve. That doesn't mean you have to make every goal. You'll have a more satisfying life when you have goals in your life. You're not going to make it to everyone. It's a fact. It's just a fact. But you keep yourself in line. And those goals that you have impact on your purpose, and your purpose has impact on your goals. And it's going to have impact on your on how you perceive yourself and how you're talking to yourself, right? It's going to have a really, really big impact on you, on your life. And you want to have a good life. I mean, who wants a bad day today, right? Really nobody. So let's go to right here. So what we talked about today is we talked about intentional goals from purpose to practice. And we had our do's and our don't goals. And our don't goals are the ones that come from other people. I think you should do this. You're good at that. Now listen to your compliments, though, from some people. And if you agree that that's one of your strengths, if somebody comes up and goes, you know, Brian, you're really good at throwing the javelin. I've never seen somebody throw it so far, but you really don't like doing it. But it's a strength that you have. And take that compliment, right? So we're going to be talking about our intentional goals. These are the intentional goals that come from our core. They come from us, not from anybody else, not from Aunt Sally, not join the military because everybody in the family's been in the military. Now it's your turn. No, it's never your turn to do something else that other people want you to do. But it's your turn now to take your life over and live it intentionally so you can live with tranquility. Tranquility and ease in your head and a nice flow of this is me, this is who I am, this is how I live. And you don't have to go out and blow it with a horn. But what you do to get out of chaos is you start setting up uninterrupted time for your life. That means no one's invited but you. And some of that uninterrupted time can be with people that you love, with family, with people that are making you feel authentic. People that I have my mother-in-law coming up. That's authenticity. That's somebody I want to see. Somebody I want to be at my house. When she leaves, it interrupts my life because it's somebody I look forward to seeing. So these are things that we plan, and it's something that you can look forward to. Now, when we're aligning and we're writing, we want to be specific. And you can just do one goal right now. You don't have to have 80 goals your whole life to plan. I might live 30 years. I better just start writing, because remember, we're going to track, adjust, reflect, and celebrate. Implementation, how we're going to break it down into steps. So let's make it really easy. We're going to write a goal today, okay? And the goal is that a week from Saturday, my goal is to take a day just for me. And so now this has purpose, and it's going to impact me because I really need to take a day just for me, right? And for me, it's good because my name rhymes with day, Ray Day, maybe. So I would have a Ray Day, right? And if you're not laughing, that's okay. I think I'm funny. Maybe I'm not. So the goal is that we're going to take a day. Now, what are we going to do to enjoy that? One could be to sleep in, which is giving me rest. And next would be to get up, be grateful for the day, looking forward that it's going to be a good day because you planned it. And now I would like to drive, listen to some good music or a good radio show or something. And I would like to go to this antique mall, which is like a flea market for the day, go have a lunch and everything, and then get back early. Now, how do we plan that? How do we do that? So it's going to be specific. So we're going to plan the route. We're going to make sure there's gas in the car. I'm going to tell anybody that I'm not available that day. But when I'm doing that, you might want to have time to not have your phone, to take that time and plan that out. And that is a simple goal that's directly going to have instant gratification. And you're excited about it. You're looking forward to it. There's maybe a place you want to go on away, but that is specific. And then we're going to break it down into little steps. Getting up out of bed, packing a bag. I might want to spend the night there, this and that, right? So we're going to break it down a set. And then the implementation plan is I now canceled everything for Saturday. I got someone to feed my dog. I can get away. Everything's going to be okay. And it's all planned out. I'm really looking forward to this. And then track and adjust it. I might want to leave earlier tomorrow. I might want to stay later, right? And then reflect and celebrate the minute you leave your driveway. Reflect and celebrate when you get home. So goals are that simple. What's not simple is to change your perception of things and to change what we've intentionally allowed to happen. So for practical strategy to help you move from setting your intentions and to change your perspective, is I want you today to find some things in your life that you wish you could change, just no matter what they are. I would like to change this. I would like to change that. And it could be anything about your environment, anything about your job. And the one question you want to write up is, how do you see your life right now? Do you see your life living your goals and your intentions? Do you see frustration? Are you burdened sometimes when you get called by somebody? You're afraid to answer because you know that they're going to want some of your energy. How do you see yourself this weekend? And what do you see yourself doing this weekend? Are you cooking? Are you cooking out? Are you getting ready for spring? Are you getting some of your lawn stuff out? Are you planting a garden? And if these are things that you enjoy, these are things that you would be doing right now. So reflecting on purpose and having a yearly calendar, a quarterly calendar of what you want to enjoy this summer. Is it you want to go to more outside concerts? Is that what excites you? Do you want to go bike riding? Do you want to change your diet? These are all things. So dissatisfaction, remember, persists not because life is unbearable, but because it's familiar and tolerable. That's what dissatisfaction comes from. Familiarity and tolerating shit because it's always there. And that is the cockadoodle bullshit we want to get it right to. So evaluating your life by consent reveals whether we are choosing our future or agreeing to it by default. That's what this is all about. Are we agreeing to the default? Are we agreeing to all of this over here? Where is it? Living by designs, that one. Are we living by default? All the unintentional, accidental, no time for yourself, subconscious, unplanned, unexpected, unforeseen, involuntary, accidental. Okay, well, that would be a life that has a lot of intolerable things into it. But you can change it little by little, just waking up, knowing that you can live calculated, on purpose and intended, available for yourself, live the moments, live your feelings, living your feelings. Hey, wait a minute. Why do I feel uncomfortable when I come here? And why do I come in here? What's the impact that some of our habits have on our life? I have bad habits that are going to create sooner and later some bad impacts. And one of them is tobacco. And these are the things that we think about, but we do them. How do we get out of them? What do we do? What do we do to set our aligned, meaningful goals? We ask ourselves why and how to create some objective outcomes in our life. We're going to create it by having purpose to practice, aligned, meaningful things that we're going to write down. Good morning, Omar. We're glad that you're in here. So these are the things that we are going to want to do. And you know who benefits from these is you, yourself. You're the one that's going to benefit from everything that you're aligning yourself into, for everything that you're going to do today. It's going to have an impact on your life. And we don't want to carry, if we feel you're carrying something and some bad impact into your life, why? Why do you still carry it? Why do you still feel bad about what somebody said to you years ago or last week? You said from the objective, but should we start from the subjective first? Please explain. What we're talking about is writing intentional goals. And I'm glad that you're in here. And we like people, if there's something that you feel you can help us with, please go ahead and make some comments, and I would appreciate it. So what we want to do is, but some goals can be objective and some are subjective. For example, our should goals are objective that come because they come from external sources. That would be an objective goal because they come from somebody else. A subjective one would be from us. So those would be intentional goals that we want to do because it has meaning and it aligns with us. And I'm glad that you're in here. And if I accidentally said that the other way, that's okay, because we write, we reflect, and we take care of things. And I appreciate you being in here, Omar, and I hope that you come in and join us. And you're right. So within ourselves to protect the objective. So you're going to want, so subjective is subjecting yourself to something else, and we are the objective into it. And that would be the correct way. And these are the things that we talk about in our little live. We're on a series here talking about intentional goals and intentional goals. And one of the things when we were talking, the should goals would be the objectives, and to get back into explaining our goals. And that's what your Aunt Sally wants you to do, or your family wants you to do, and other people. But we want our goals to come from within. So they would be a subjective goal. And that's what, now that we have that understood, how we're going to put that from purpose to practice, realizing that our purpose is going to have the impact on our life, because that's what we're looking for, is purpose with impact. The impact's going to help us with what we would like the results to come out of it. So let's go back to last week when we wrap up today's live. We're appreciating everybody here. As our mission statement from last week, our declaration. Okay, we're going to think of our core values, our purpose with the impact, our goals, which is a compass that gives us clarity. And you want to remember that goals are set to live a good life, to keep you on course, not to make every single goal, right? One of the things that we're going to always know is that we want to be true to ourselves, and we want to do things that are having a good impact on ourselves and on our life. And that's what's most important. Starting your day out with some gratitude, looking at that one thing that you're grateful for, thinking about things that resonate you, Like Alicia says, asking yourself why. Why do I feel this way? Paying attention to what you hear, see, and learn, like Omar said. Paying attention to our lives and being on the right course in through here. And just recognizing that, we're not going to have a perfect life, but it can be better and we can change our perspectives. And that is what we want to do. And that's what's going to help us to live a more purposeful life with a lot of meaning. So to wrap it up for today, we're going to be back here on changing our state of mind is exactly right. And that's what it takes to live a good life, Omar. And we're glad that you're here. So week 6 of 12. These are our intentional goals from purpose to practice. We're going to be aligning meaningful that are specific, broken down into steps, our implementation plan, track and adjust, reflect, and celebrate. And thank you very much. I'm glad that everybody's in here. Looking so forward to seeing you Friday morning. You're important, not just to me, but most importantly to yourself, because you are the one that's going to be able to have impact on your life and your purpose. And only you can take the time to cut out some stuff that you don't feel so sure about and start adding some reflection into your life and some journaling and some prayer and some thought and enjoy this God-given gift of life the best that you can. And I hope that you have a good day. Looking forward to seeing everybody this Friday and have a great week. Thanks, Farm Girl, Alicia, Brian, Omar, everybody in here. If I didn't say thanks or say your name, that doesn't mean I don't appreciate you being in here. I love all